a green belt level examination material, and we're going to go over this. We're not going to go in detail over every single angle, but what we're going to do is give you an overview of what we're looking for, and then I'll try to get into it in a little bit of detail, but not a lot of the volume of the material, because there's a lot of stuff here that's repetitive and you should already know it. So the Largo is at what we call stage 3. And stage 3 is the same as stage 1 and 2, except for there's an extra hit. So everything before that is the same, it's just the follow-up that's different, okay? And so when we do the long range, the meet the force is I make contact with it in the direction it's coming. As I hit the hand, I will follow up, 1, 2, 3, okay? He comes back with a backhand angle, I meet the force and come back 1, 2, 3, okay? And the thing here is when he attacks, okay, I really want to retreat the angle and return to that distance where I can strike him. In reality, this should be done circling left, circling right, advancing, and retreating. But here on the video, we're just going to do it really just, we call it dry fire. That means I set up, he feeds me one angle, I hit the one angle, and I come back. You can just make an X like that. If he hits the number 2, I hit it, and I'll probably start with a forehand. Okay, and then he hits the number 3 or whatever it is, and I backhand, forehand, backhand. If he hits a backhand, I meet it, and I, okay, or we'll do follow the force now. Follow simply means that I follow his motion, and then I'll come back with my return, and then I follow his motion, and I come back with my return. Okay, that's actually 4, but you just need to get 3 in. Okay, evade would mean I just clear the weapon and then attack. Clear the weapon and then attack. Okay, and he'll just pull his hand up because we used to do this. You feed me? We would just do it in the air. But what happens is I see a lot of times people do it in the air and they're down here or they're over here. They don't really know. So I really want you to target the collarbone. And the hand just happens to be in the way of that. And as you're doing it, when I hit here, I want to make sure I'm using the end of the weapon to strike. However I strike, I want to be using the last 1 inch of the weapon. I don't want to see this. See the weapon like that? I don't want that because it means you're not going to be effective. So you really want to use the Largo, evade, and return. And that'll give you a good idea of the distance that you need to be at to strike your opponent, okay? And you don't have to go 3,000 miles an hour and just beat the tar out of your trained partner. You can do it at a pace that's about moderate and moderate, just like that. So you have meet the force, which means it hits the oncoming blow. You have follow the force, which means it goes in the same direction. And you have evade, which means you just clear the weapon. And then you follow up with 3 hits. Okay, the single stick medium range is called deflect and hit, okay? Block and hit and disarm, okay? So at medium range, we're gonna go to regular stick. And so this is something that I saw on the blue belt tests that I'll correct now, but whenever he hits, and this is already, we already went through the long range, and we usually got there after I hit his hand, he punched me, I hit his hand, now we're at this range where I can deflect this. Or he jumps out of a bush and attacks me and I'm already in close quarter. But there's not that many bushes in Texas, so that's not gonna happen. But as he hits like that and I'm at medium range and I deflect that, I will catch the weapon or his hand and I will hold on to that through the process of the first 2 hits. After the first 2 hits, I will release it and then follow up. And that follow-up, if you're using soft stick, would be just like the Largo. I will move back to long range and follow up. Okay? You're not going to stand still. As he hits the number 2 angle, and I deflect that, I'm going to hit twice, move off angle, and follow up with 2 strikes. As he hits the number 3, I'm going to deflect that, I'm going to hit twice, move off angle, and follow up. Okay? And that's the deflect and hit basic. You do that for all 5 angles, stick pointed up. The block and hit is stick pointed down. So that's when I use it like that. I'm going to christen him. Holding on to the weapon, then release it. Stick pointed down. Christen him, and then follow up. Stick pointed down. Christen him, and follow up. Stick pointed down could be here. Christen him, and then follow up. Stick pointed down could be here. Christen him, and then follow up. Okay? So that's your stick pointed down. On the number 2, you could use what we call the shield, or you could use what we call roof. Okay? Those are both considered stick pointed down, even though the stick's horizontal, it's slightly. Okay? And then the number 3 is the stage 2 of the disarming. And that just means when I capture the hand, for instance, and I disarm, there's already 1, 2 hits. Those are the same 2 on the deflect and hit basic. Then after the disarm, you follow up 1, 2. And again, if you're using soft stick, you make contact. If you're using a hard stick, you don't. If I get the number 2 angle, if I deflect it, I catch the hand, I hit twice, disarm, and then hit twice following up. And your disarms on this are, we're not asking you to do 5 disarms, but I'd like you to do 2. And then if you look at the disarming video, you will find there are 5 disarms for each position, stick up and stick down, and then hand only. So you should go and use that video to review it and review it and review it, and pick 2 that you're good at. Get good at 2, then go to good at 3, then go get at 4. By the time you're black belt, you should have 5. And then you should multiply that, okay? But any deflect with the stick pointed up, if I catch the hand, these are called process hits and do not count. Move and follow up, okay? And so you should always be at range when you're following up. That is how we do the striking. If you're using the puño, that's called corto, okay? And so this way we really do here on the disarming. So just like you did in the disarming section, you want to hit and then follow up. Whether your stick is up or stick is down. I'm not going to go into the disarms because you should have that on the other video. But anytime we mean stage 2, we mean that's 0 and then that's 1, 2. Okay? And the same thing, if I go over here, I hit here, that's 1, that's 2, and then that's 1, 2. The first 2 don't count. They're in the process of the disarm. If I hit the backhand side and I hit here and I hit the elbow, that first 2 hits are not stage 2, those are process. Okay? So that's the basic for your single stick medium range. The next thing is the sombrata. And the sombrata should really be a free flow exercise, but in the beginning levels, it starts with 3 numbers. I hit a number 1, he hits a number 4, and I hit the overhead. He hits the number 1, I hit the number 4, and he hits the overhead. I hit the number 1, he hits the number 4, and hit the overhead. And this can be, later on, there could be all kinds of different combinations, which is covered in the sombrata video. But that's your first level of sombrata, like that. And every Inosanto instructor does this a little bit different. But our numbering system we use is a forehand strike, a backhand strike, and a vertical overhead strike. A forehand strike, a backhand strike, and a vertical overhead strike. Later on, that overhead strike can be a backhand vertical or a forehand vertical. It doesn't matter. But that's like that. So that's here, and that's your sombrata. So over here, we haven't added the segundo, but later, see, the segundo gets added, and that's in the stick and dagger video. And you have to have that, otherwise what you're learning is a demonstration art. But right now, we just want you to get the basis of the flow.